Welcome. This is Ed the Finance Guy coming to you again. Greatly appreciate everyone tuning in. I've been doing tax accounting for 40 years, credit repair consultant. If you have questions, I'm the right guy to ask. Email me, ed1959@usa.com. Call me, 516-205-0722, and I'll try to help you as best as I can. So today I wanted to continue our credit repair discussion, and this is going to be a little bit based on what we spoke about on the last video. When collection agents call, try to get their fax numbers. If you get their fax numbers, they're going to say, why do you want the fax number? You can always say, I want to send you some documents, but what you're really sending them is called a cease and desist letter. I did mention this a while back, that if you have creditors that are calling you constantly and you're always worried about your phone, they're calling you at night, calling your office, calling your mom, calling your brother, and they do all these things. They find numbers out where you live, friends of yours, and they'll call. So you don't want them to do that. So you want to fill out a cease and desist letter. And what that letter says is, my name is so-and-so, my phone number is so-and-so. I'm asking you to no longer call me. Please send everything in writing, and my phone calls will be taped. And if you do call me after receiving this letter, there's an $11,000 fine, which they know about. So you're sending them a letter to have them stop calling you because you're harassing me and you're calling me at work, and I want this to stop. So they have to stop calling. They can't keep calling. And what they really do is they sell the debt to somebody else, which takes a few months. So you can at least you can avoid them calling you constantly. And I've had a lot of clients call and tell me that they called their parent, they call their wives, they threaten their son, and they made all kinds of gestures to other people saying that we're going to arrest this person, and it's horrible how they react. And the Fair Credit Reporting Act says they're not allowed to do these things. But they're assuming that your phone call is not taped. So if you send them a certified letter saying your phone call is taped, they're not going to want to bother calling you to risk paying an $11,000 fine so they can make $100 on your collection. So that fax number is very important to get from them. This way you can tell them you want to send them a cease and desist letter. If you come out and tell them, I want to send you a cease and desist letter, they usually just hang the phone up. So if you say, please give me your phone number, I want to send you some information, they'll give you the fax number and you send that letter. And you put on the top, cease and desist, you put your name, your phone number. Now, if you want to make payment, you feel like you really do owe it and you'll want to make the payment. As I said before, you start at a 40% number and try to see if you can pay it off that way. Generally, they won't take payments if you're going to knock it down to 40%. And remember, you have to pay taxes on the other 60% that you're avoiding. But very often, they'll take the 40% if the debt is maybe 2 years old. So the older the debt is, the less that they'll be willing to take. Because the older the debt is, the less they paid for the debt. So, for example, if the debt is 2 years old, they may have paid 25 cents on the dollar. The collection agencies would have paid 25 cents on the dollar. But if the debt is 6 years old, 5 years old, and ready to be, statute of limitations expires in X amount of years. So with debt usually 7 years. So if it's a 6-year-old debt, they probably paid 5 cents on the dollar. So they're willing to negotiate at a lower price. So keep that in mind when you negotiate. And if they say no, don't stay on the phone with them and fight with them and hear them say, well, you're a bad person. Nobody's a bad person. Sometimes things happen in life. You lose your job, you're furloughed, you get sick, there's a problem in your family. It's not that you're a bad person. It's like you have X amount of money to spend, and you always have to make decisions on what you want to pay first. And I notice most people want to pay their cell phone first because that's the item that will get shut off. So you need a cell phone in life. But is it important to pay certain expenses? Not as important as it is to pay other expenses. If you don't make your car payment, they're not towing your car that day. They're going to wait a few months. Cell phone, they're going to shut you off. A collection agency, that's at the bottom of the list. It's not as important as feeding your family, keeping your lights turned on. So again, don't let them harass you into thinking that something bad is going to happen. You politely say, listen, there's something on the stove, I can't speak, I got to go, and hang up the phone. If they call you back, you try to get the fax number, you send a cease and desist letter, and that's really the way to get them out of the picture. Now, if you make a deal with them, I want to pay 30-40%, I want to pay $1,200 on the $4,000, they say, okay. Do not send them any money until you get a letter from them saying, dear Mr. Linzer, we will accept $1,200 as full payment of your $4,000 debt, not partial payment. Because very often if they don't send you the letter, they're going to look at that as a deposit. You want the letter to say that this $1,200 I'm sending is full payment of this debt. That's what you want it to say. Do not send them a penny until after you get that letter. You give them your email address, give them your fax number, whatever, and get that form, and then after that you send them a certified check or you send them a bank check. This way it's paid. Now, they're supposed to take a letter and write a letter to the credit bureau saying that this debt was paid. Very often they don't care. So they'll turn around, they won't do anything. So they'll take the money from you, they'll send you the letter, but they won't report it to the credit bureaus. With that letter you get from the collection agency saying it's paid in full, you can make a copy of that letter, send it to the credit bureau. I would do that right away. Send it to the credit bureau that you paid this debt off. And then pull your credit again in 30 days. Pay for the credit report if you have to from Experian, or look at your Credit Karma and see if it's listed as paid off. Now again, if you're paying $1,300 on $4,000, it's going to say paid in settlement. If you pay the whole amount, it's going to say paid in full. $45 is a big enough amount of money to say, listen, I'd rather pay it in settlement. If it's a $100 bill that you owe, I would pay the whole thing, let it say paid in full. Again, make sure that these items belong to you. Make sure it's a credit card that you've had. Very often you'll write a letter to the collection agency saying, I want to see proof of this debt. They don't have to send you proof of the debt because the debt is over 30 days or 60 days. Every company is different. But you have a certain amount of time that you're allowed to ask for the proof, and that's usually before they give it to a collection agency. So the collection agency just buys a list of people, their phone number, how much they owe, who the debt is with, and they go after that list. They'll get $3 million worth of collections. They'll spend $50,000, $60,000, and then they're going to give it to a room full of people, like in a boiler room. They're all going to call to harass you to make payment. So you have the choice to pay in settlement, pay in full, after making sure it's a real debt that you really owe. Keep this in mind before you're making any payments, and this is going to help increase your score the more things you pay off. So again, when you do IRS debt, you have to call them up and make an installment agreement. They're not going to take a settlement. Collection agencies are all going to take settlements. They're very happy getting 40, 50 cents on a dollar. Sometimes they'll play hardball with you, and then you play hardball back. Hang up the phone. Say, listen, I'm sorry, I don't have the money. 40% is the most I could pay. Well, we want 60%. Well, I'm sorry, there's nothing I could do. Have a good day. Click. And that's it. And when they call back, if they call too many times, send the cease and desist letter. Thanks again for everyone tuning in. Please share the video, like the video, subscribe. You'll know when I have my next video coming out. I'm trying to be very informative. If you have any topics you'd like me to discuss, please, ed1959@usa.com. Keep tuning in. Be safe out there. Be smart. Keep learning. That's very important. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks again. It's Ed the Finance Guy. Have a good day.